everyone. I just want to welcome the mayor, in name of the mayor and the mayor and the council as well. We want to welcome you today for the first workshop that we're having about the census. We are very excited, and we want to motivate everybody in the community in order for them to understand the importance of the census. I mean, for each of us to be count. So I also want to thank the committee, all of you that are volunteers from our city that are representing in different areas, and that you're going to be helping us to spread the word. So I wanted also to introduce Ralph de la Portilla, who is the person that is responsible of guiding us through this process. So with further ado, Rafael, I know that you have a lot of information to share with us from the census, so we can bring that information to our community, and we'll be able to make this count.
So much.
No, thank you.
Thank you, Digna. Thank you very much. Thank you, Digna. First of all, ¿hay alguien aquí que no hable inglés? Okay, so we are going ahead and we're going to stick with the program here entirely in English. Again, my name is Ralph de la Portilla. I'm a native Miami-Dade Countian. So this is my home county, and this is my hometown. I love it. I am a partnership specialist with a program with the United States Census Bureau known as the Community Partnership Engagement Program. I am tasked with making partnerships, okay, with local governments, community-based organizations, faith-based organizations, and businesses that have a broad scope and reach with people that live here in our community in Miami-Dade County. And we're focusing tonight on the city of Darrell, okay? Digna is heading this Darrell Complete Count Committee. And really quick, just to let you be an insider on what your city of Darrell is doing with this Complete Count Committee, I'll just give you a brief overview of what a Complete Count Committee is. Also what the census is, why it's important, why it's easier than ever to be a part of the census, and why it's safe. Okay, which is probably a very important piece to tell your family members, your friends, your coworkers, and just people in your community, your neighbors, okay? Darrell, congratulations, you've formed a Complete Count Committee, okay? So we don't really have to convince the city of Darrell to do it. What we've found it to be the most effective way for a local government like the city of Darrell to reach each and every living, breathing person, okay? Which, by the way, is the only requisite to be part of a census, okay? You might be wondering, why do we do a census? Trust me, I'm gonna get to that. We've already reached our goal. We have 10,000 of these committees, like the one that was created here in the city of Darrell, throughout the entire country. In fact, I think the number's at around 12,000 now. So this is encouraging, okay? They're organized, they're highly productive, and they've got some outreach strategies in place which are customized for each of the communities that these committees exist in. Okay, so you see pretty much what I touched off on. There are local government Complete Count Committees and there are community-based Complete Count Committees. And committee members are subject matter experts in these bullet points that you see right here, okay? So we have people like Digna. Councilwoman Digna is definitely a government expert, okay, as far as the comings and goings of our municipal government here in City of Darrell. But we need folks in the media. Luckily, we've got another Darrell entity. It's called Univision. They're heading, and they've actually formed their own Complete Count Committee. And they're doing wonders with it. They've already they've already broadcast several public service announcements with a lot of their on-air talent. And what they're going to do is really exciting because they have a town hall that's going to be televised, and they do have a phone bank that is going to be televised intermittently with their regularly scheduled programs. So we're really excited. But of course, you've got businesses, workforce development, education. We're very much involved with Miami-Dade County Public Schools, okay? If a student by the end of this school year comes home and doesn't know what the census is, they're going to be in trouble, okay? Trouble for them. Again, I told you about our community-based organizations, our faith-based organizations, and others based on need. Okay. So I basically explained first what a complete count committee is, and now I'm actually getting to the actual why we do it. This is truly a cornerstone of our democracy. Every 10 years, every year that ends in a 0, our founding fathers enshrined into the Constitution the need to count every single living, breathing soul residing within U.S. territory. That's mind-boggling. May I remind you, we're the 3rd most populous nation in the world. Only India and China are more have a greater population than the U.S., okay? We are forecast to be, sometime this spring, about 333 million inhabitants. This is the only country of this size or similar to have that is actually mandated to count everyone one by one. Everyone has to be counted one by one, okay? And again, please, we have to be very careful with the language here, okay? Because a lot of people for the last year and a half, you've probably heard a lot of noise on the news, on the 24-hour news cycle. They were attempting to politicize this event. My friends, the Constitution is clear. Every person living, that's what the Constitution, those words are what the Constitution says. It doesn't say every person documented. It doesn't say every citizen. It only says in every person living, residing within the United States and its territories must be counted, okay? So this is the mandate. And of course, there you see a little bit, as we dust off our social studies textbooks, you see a little bit of history there. In 1790, the total number of inhabitants were 3.9 million. And let me tell you, George Washington and his cabinet were furious. They said that's impossible, we have to be more than 3.9 million. No, they weren't. It was 3.9 million. Yes, U.S. Marshals conducted it on horseback, and that went all the way until 1870, okay? We're not doing it with federal marshals anymore, and we're not doing it by horseback, okay? Okay, so why do we do the census? Well, it's all about political power. It's a term known as apportionment, okay? Apportionment is what, based on the population of each state, it determines the number of representatives we have in the U.S. House of Representatives, which also then means that it is the number that will be assigned to the Electoral College in U.S. general elections. This is extremely important. As Florida now, with this upcoming census, stands to gain 2 representatives, places like New York will probably lose as many representatives. Okay, we are solidly now the 3rd most populous state in the union, the state of Florida. Okay, by the way, Texas stands to gain about 4. So that is definitely the fastest growing state. California might lose 1, our most populous state. But then we're talking about money. Aside from political representation, more than $675 billion in federal monies are informed by the numbers that we collect in this big national count that we're about to begin next month. That's several trillion over 10 years. And this is the baseline number, this one that we're about to collect, okay, starting next month. This is the baseline number that informs all of the estimates throughout the rest of the decade until we get to do it all over again in 2030. Okay. Oh, there we go. We used to have 27, okay. That's jumped to 29. And before you know it, we'll be in the 30s as far as how many Congress people we have in our House of Representatives. So you see the two big winners of the census right here. Isn't it great to be part of the winning team, right? And then you see the Greens right up there, and that's not good. Okay, they will lose representation. But that's just based on the population. Census numbers, going back to the money, they inform everything, okay? VPK, public schools, food stamps, public housing like Section 8 housing, other social programs, and just about any other program you could think of that's not even social. It's informed by these numbers. If there is a waiting list at a pre-kindergarten program here in Darrell, there was an undercount. There shouldn't be a waiting list, okay? This is why it's so crucially important that we count every living soul and that we tell our friends, our neighbors, our coworkers, did you participate? Did you count everybody in your household? Are you sure? Okay, it informs everything. Please remember that this federal funding and these subsidies and these grants, oh, let's talk about grants, Pell Grants for college kids. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I won't go through the minutia, through the laundry list of where those monies go, but they go everywhere, okay? You see their education, healthcare, transportation, social services, emergency response. This is based on the number of people, okay? How many of us are there and where are we? Because that's our only goal as data collectors, which is simply all we are at the US Census Bureau, okay? It's to count everybody living in the United States once, only once, and in the right place, okay? So all of our infrastructure depends on the numbers that we're collecting starting next month. So let's get Darrell right, because Darrell is what we're here for, okay? Okay. So now we know why it's so important. It's about money and power. Just representation and funding that belongs to our community based on the numbers. But how safe is it? Well, we know that here in, I almost called it Doralzuela, we have a lot of people from a lot of countries. It's not just Venezuela. We have a diverse population here in Darrell. And they're coming from places, many of them, many of our more recent arrivals, are coming from places where the government is perhaps unstable, or perhaps many people have a view of that government as being corrupt. And confidentiality is something that is really a brand new concept to many of our new friends here residing in the city of Darrell. It's the law, my friends. No other federal agency, no other entity, no other organization, not the FBI, not the CIA, not the ICE, not even the President of the United States, not the landlord, not the county inspector, no one has access or can subpoena your census records for any other purposes other than viewing census records in a watered-down statistical and informational format. Which also means your name, Digna Cabral, will not be associated with, I'm sorry I picked on you, with 9717 Northwest 37th Street in the city of Darrell, Florida, for 72 years. Your responses to the census, once they are used for the statistics that are necessary for this country to function, will be put away in the National Archives under lock and key for 72 years, and no one will have access to it. Good news. 2022 is right around the corner, and now in 2022 we'll be finally able to see the results of the 1950 census. Okay, that'll be that. I'm excited for it anyway. I'm a history buff though, okay? So there are strict fines and penalties associated with how strict the law is as far as privacy and confidentiality. It's safe. We must let all of our neighbors know, especially neighbors and households that have a mixed situation where maybe some are legal permanent residents and others may not be, they're waiting, they're in transition. They have just requested political asylum, whatever. And now they're scared to answer a government questionnaire. But let's be sure, my friends, about the following. This is not a federal activity. This is a national activity. Okay, what to look out for? The census will never ask you for your social security number. It's never going to ask you for money. It's never going to ask you for any type of request on behalf of a political party. I think I know that some of you are probably like kind of looking at this and you've seen on the news or maybe you read somewhere that certain parties have been asking for donations and they've been sending out these mailers to households that look suspiciously like a census, or they call themselves a census of a congressional district. Don't be fooled. There is only one 2020 census which is conducted by the United States Census Bureau. There is one small caveat to that, and I will cover that shortly, okay? Also, the census will never ask you for a PIN code, a password, your bank card, your debit, your credit, nothing, okay? If you receive anything in the mail and you think that it's perhaps the census and it asks you any of these things, it is not the census, okay? All right, I already said it. That's the goal. Once, only once, and in the right place. Okay, it's easier than ever to participate in the census. Since 1950, the Census Bureau has done what we call a mail-out, mail-back program, which means we mailed out the questionnaire to every known address in the United States, and you were tasked on an honor system to fill out the questionnaire correctly and mail it back. That's part of the self-response phase. We still have that in a way, okay? However, this is the first time ever, welcome to the 21st century, okay, that we will be able to do it online. You will be able to do it from any device, a smartphone, a laptop, a tablet. As long as you have a reliable internet access, you will be able to respond for your household. It is a very simple 9 questions. If for any reason you have problems with internet or you don't have broadband access, or you simply just don't trust the internet, that's okay. Don't trust the internet, okay? We will give you the option in the initial invitation that you will receive in the middle of next month. This is 3 weeks away. you will receive an invitation to respond either online, by phone, using a toll-free number, and we will have a sworn census taker on the phone to take that information from you. Thank you so much for throwing in taker. That's good. Because I was about to say census. Would they be an enumerator? I don't know. Yeah, it's a census taker on the phone. You call a toll-free number. You can do it in English, Espanol, or 10 other languages, okay? And then beyond those initial 12 languages, we have a questionnaire assistance guide that can be requested in 67 languages. So, 67 languages, yeah. So, we've got internet, phone, or let's say you do nothing. You're not sure about it. You're not sure whether you want to be counted. You will receive a reminder invitation a couple weeks after the initial invitation you should get to your household, no later than about March 16th. By March 20 some odd, you'll receive another reminder saying, hey, we sent you something. Can you respond? You could do it this way, or that way. If still, going into the beginning of April, we have not received a response from a particular address, we will send you a paper questionnaire automatically. And then you can go ahead and do it the old paper and pencil way. Okay? So that's it. Easier than ever. Internet, phone, or by paper questionnaire, if you wish. Yeah. It is one per house, because we don't know how many people you have in your house. And to be sure, we're not sending it, what's your name? Alejandro, we're not sending it to Alejandro. We're sending it to the occupant of 123 Darrell Boulevard. We don't know who's in there, okay? We don't know who's in there. So again, safer than ever. We are censusing addresses. That's why this decennial or once a decade national count that we do is called the Decennial Survey of Housing and Population of the United States.
About the surveys and the internet, and I check different applications now, a lot of applications about the Census Committee, a lot of this, maybe 10 or maybe a lot of them. And the question is, what exactly is the confident with this kind of application? Because maybe the government send, can you explain that?
Thank you. You're saying, what is the confidentiality, or what is the guarantee of confidentiality online? The contractor that we've been working with for the last 5 years, we've tested it several times, and we feel that it's pretty secure. But recently, we have probably gone back, and we're not using the contractor for the main part of it. We're using a system that the census has been growing for like 10 years, and that's also tested and safe. No one has hacked into that one. It's known as Primus. I'm not going to get into the technical minutia, but I'm telling you, it's tested. It's something that we have found that has worked. People have looked at it and said maybe the vulnerabilities exist, so we have modified and adjusted. And well, at this point, we've got front row seats as to how it's going to work. But this is the first time ever that we're doing it this way. We feel that this will streamline the census, and that effectively it will be a greener and more efficient census moving onto an online format as we move into the 21st century. We feel it's going to work. We feel that it's going to be safe. So let's see. We've got front row seats. Okay. So yeah, eliminating pair. Okay, this is what you're going to get. Take a look at it. You're the first in Darrell to see this. When you open the letter that clearly has our logo, and by the way, you've been seeing the logo constantly, okay? When you open the letter, you're going to see that. it's going to, of course, it's dear resident, it's not dear Alejandro or Rafael, okay, or Digna. This is going to be how it's going to look. If you receive anything else other than one survey that does go to about 250,000 households that are randomly sampled, called the American Community Survey, again, I'll tell you more about that later. Other than that, this is the real deal. You notice that they will have the URL. Yeah, we removed it. I will tell you right now, since it's very few of you in attendance. My 2020 census.gov. That's what it's not live now. Don't go on there and try to crash our system, okay, whatever you do. But it is going to be at my2020census.gov. Each address will have a unique census ID. A lot of people have already thought, oh my goodness, what if I lose it? What if I throw it away and I never see the census ID? What's going to happen? Well, that's okay. Or there's special situations. Let's say our friends just north of us, north of Darrell here, Hialeah, with their efficiencies in their houses, which are illegal units, but they've subdivided their single-family residence, and it has no separate address. There are several families living in the same address. What happens then if the landlord or the owner doesn't want to include on the census, and these residents are like, oh my goodness, I don't think I was counted. What am I going to do? That's okay, because we have just rolled out this, okay? You can respond without a census ID. You will literally go to the same site, which is going to be my2020census.gov, and you will click. There is a clear thing to click on if you do not have a code, in which case you will have to enter an address. And they give you the 3 options there of how to enter an address. Here in Miami-Dade County, we don't have to look at the rural route or a physical location. Physical location is more for people experiencing homelessness, and we've got that pretty much taken care of here in Miami-Dade County. Okay. You see? Live or stay in a garage. There's ways, and we're going to heavily publicize this, but we rely on complete count committees like the one Darrell has here to go ahead and help us with this. And we'd like you to help us too, okay, as residents of Darrell. So again, the complete count committee, just giving you an overview of how the city of Darrell has your back as residents of Darrell in their activities, and how they're encouraging individuals. They're going to special events. They're tailoring the message to Darrell specifically, because Darrell is a very unique community, even within Miami-Dade County, okay? That's kind of community-based. I did mention that Univision has one, okay? And all of these special situations are taken care of by a lot of our community-based organization partners throughout the county. Okay, there you see how subcommittees work. And they have a few. Not every complete count committee is the same. Okay, these are the phases in which the census works. The census, I started almost 2 years ago, and I'm only a temporary worker with the census. This is my 3rd census, though. This is my 3rd decennial census, I know. I'm kind of dating myself. I started in 1999, okay, and it was a field operation. And then I've been doing partnerships since, on and off since the last cycle. So we've already gone through the education phase, and we're now in the awareness phase, okay? This is what we're doing here. We're getting local residents that are concerned, like yourselves, and you folks are essentially the trusted voices of your community. You're definitely leaders in your own right here in Darrell, so we thank you for coming, okay? Make everybody aware. Motivate everybody starting next month. March 12th, the U.S. Postal Service will send out questionnaires to every known address. That's why I'm saying by March 16th, which is a Monday, the day after Calle Ocho Music Festival, I know because I'm going to be at Calle Ocho. With the census. We've got a stage with folkloric music and everything. Everybody's invited to come. Obviously, it's free. It's a free event. By March 16th, your household should have it, okay? And we ask you, really, I mean, I know we live in Miami-Dade County and it's very unique situations. We don't always know our neighbors, okay? But if you do, ask them if they've participated in the census, you know? There's some cities around the nation that are actually have stickers, you know, like I participated in the census, you know, just like, you know, the election department does after a vote, right? That might be an idea here for Darrell, right? Now, it doesn't just end, my friends, March through the beginning of May. That is the self-response time. That is the time that you have to count your own household, okay? But what happens to those houses that don't respond by the end of April or the very beginning of May? That's when we get a whole crew of people, you've already seen me do this. Avoid the knock. Avoid it altogether. I don't like people knocking on my door, okay? Avoid the knock. Fill it out. Now, luckily, it's going to put about 6,000 Miami-Dade Countyans to work knocking on those doors. Because guess what, my friends? If 75% of the households in Miami-Dade County answer, whether it's online, on the phone, or paper questionnaire, we'll be good. We'll be good, believe it or not. But don't think that that means that we only count 75% of the population and then 25%, that's it. That's when we go follow up, okay, and knock on all of those non-responding households. So we have to remind people that all the way through July 31st, they can get a knock by a temporary census worker, preferably someone from their own community, to go ahead and get the answers, you know, of how many we are, because that's crucially important. And then we do a thank you campaign. Okay, this is just reiterating these phases, okay, and maybe ideas and activities, but that, again, I've already gone through it with the folks here, the wonderful folks in the city of Darrell, okay, delineating March 20th, just so that you know what happens behind the scenes, okay, especially with your city of Darrell, okay. You see how they send news releases, how they encourage residents, they're at special events, they use our logo. Yeah, action. Okay, oh, this is great. I love maps, and I'm about to, I mean, again, this map is showing you participation rates in 2010, and as compared to 2000 and their changes, but there's more relevant ones right here. Oh, they say the PSAs, I already mentioned that. Okay, the work plan. Okay, these maps though, okay, there's something called an LRS map, which by the way, everyone, all of you residents can actually go home and you can actually take a look at it, okay? Going to our census.gov/Rome, it's a great tool. You can see down to the census tract, which is a census geography, sort of like a zip code, but not really a zip code, okay? That it can go down and it is, again, it's not how people will ultimately respond. It is a forecast based on foreign language, number of minorities, people that are traditionally hard to count, okay? And you will see these areas that need a lot of promotion and outreach and help, okay, in getting the word out that the census is easy, it's safe, it's important. But it's a wonderful tool, okay? It's a wonderful tool to let your local businesses know as well. Yeah, it's about surrounding City of Darrell officials. Every household with credible and memorable messages, They're not going to take it from the census guy, but they might take it from a local figure like you, Barbara. Right? I mean, I don't know if everybody knows Barbara here. Okay. Everybody knows Barbara then. Well, she is a resident for nearly 30 years, okay? From before Darrell was a city of Darrell, okay? You're a trusted voice, Barbara. That's why we're honored. She counts for 50 people, okay? I'm not blowing smoke at you. You know that it's true. So again, you see what our census operations are. We do have 2 area census offices. This belongs to the area census office, Miami North. The actual physical location of the temporary census office, which should close down about October or no later than early November, is in Miami Lakes, okay? That's just for your information. And you do see the address canvassing has already been done. You know that Census Day is April 1st. I know, it's also April Fool's. Huh? It's in 30 days, just about. That's exactly it. And that is when we take this big snapshot of America, this big selfie of the United States of what we looked like on April 1st, which, by the way, friends of Darrell, please count the children under 5. Because we have found through those long lines at the VPK, the pre-kindergarten, and all of these services for young children under the age of 5, we notice all of these waiting lists and we're like, oh my goodness, we missed about 2 million children under 5 in 2010. Now when I say we missed, I'm saying we missed. We as Americans, or people living in America, we missed children under the age of 5. Why? Well, because they're raised by the grandparents and the parents are working, and maybe we're not going to count them here, maybe they should be counted over there, and then they get lost. Oh, yes, exactly. No, that's very good. You heard what he said. He said in Venezuela, yeah, there's muchachos, there's kids, they're not people necessarily, they're kids. And I get it, and it's kind of funny, especially if you know the nuance of the Spanish language, okay? But yes, for some reason, I mean, one of them is grandparents as caretakers to the child. But again, even if it's a tiny baby, if they're living and breathing on April 1st, they count. They have to be added. They are a person living in the United States on April 1st. Everything will be conducted using that as the reference day. April 1st. That's Census Day, okay? Okay, taking a look at it. Darrell, congratulations, you did extremely well. 75% response rate. And no, there's no green bar on Darrell because Darrell didn't exist as a city in 2000, okay? The last census that I was in here and working with Mayor JC, okay, that was the first count of Darrell ever as its own city in the state of Florida. 75% is very good because Miami-Dade County, I don't know if you could see it because this is really small, 72% in 2010. I hope we get to 75% of people self-responding, okay? That, again, we're going to get the other 25%. I promise you the door knockers will get them, okay? So everyone will be counted. But if you don't report a baby, who's going to get them? Nobody. So please, the children under 5, please, so important. Oh, by the way, you would think, Hialeah, if any of you do tinker around with that map on our census.gov/Rome, R-O-A-M, you will see Hialeah as this area of grave concern. Look at them. Look at that. Among the highest, you know why? They had a wonderful complete count committee, like the one that invited you here for some snacks and for this little talk, okay? This is it. But Darrell's very good. You see it kind of in the middle there? It's very good. 75%, wonderful. Okay, what to expect from me? I am a partnership specialist. I am the contact between you, this organization, the city of Darrell, but you as a resident. I will go down as grassroots as you. If you want to ask something about the U.S. Census Bureau, you have me until this summer, okay, here locally. After that, I become a private person like you, okay? I will be your advisor, I will be your connection, I will be your bridge, okay? I've already met with the local governments, I've distributed materials electronically, and they've made their own, so you please grab some of the stuff here at the table, okay? I provide advisory support, and I assist complete count committees in developing somewhat of a plan. They've taken it on their own, okay? Okay, so with that, by the way, these jobs, if you haven't applied already for a job, please do, but like now, like by March 2nd. After that, we're cutting it off. We've already got pretty much the numbers we needed here in the city of Darrell, but give it a try. Please, it's just a few weeks. It might be 8 or 12 weeks of work at best, but I'll tell you what, it's competitive pay, it pays weekly, and gosh darn it, it's important, okay? So even if you don't think you need the job, apply for it anyway, okay? And, it's this one though, it's the highlighted one. This would be for more permanent ones, the field jobs, which is a nice part-time to have if you're thinking about that. USAjobs.gov is for more salaried and more permanent long-term positions with other federal agencies, okay? But this one, even if you don't think you need it, okay, and you don't need to be a citizen, just a legal resident, okay? Okay, so and then that's it. Oh, by the way, if anybody knows about spaces with computers, it's not for testing, as this slide says. It would be for training space for a lot of these census takers. Okay, there's some phone numbers from Atlanta for geography or recruiting partnership. That's kind of the regional. It's the Atlanta regional office that takes care of Florida. And here's my number right here, okay? And I always answer. You can text me even. You can send me text messages. This is a 24 hours a day, 7 days a week operation now, okay? So even into the night, just give me some time. I mean, if I'm sleeping, you have to give me some time to answer you. And then, of course, this one is very important. I did not select this email for myself. I know it's very long and obnoxious, but that's only the first time. It's a dot between each of my names, including my middle initial. Rafael.d.de.la.portilla at 2020census.gov. I'm out of breath just saying it. But please, feel free to ask me anything, any doubts, any questions that you might have. But this is pretty upfront. If nothing else, take away this from tonight. It's easy to be counted. It's safe to be counted. And it's crucially important, particularly for our South Florida communities. Okay.